So if you do feel like you're perpetually stressed out or anxious, looking for the source of it, and for me, it was the way that I was spending my time with work wasn't something that was really fulfilling for me. Wasn't the way that I wanted to be spending my time, and I wasn't working towards goals that had meaning for me.
You're watching Developing Potential with Diana Keuilian.
Welcome back, friends. Today we're talking about stress and really ways that we can cope with and handle all of the stress in our life, because there is so much going on for all of us. Now, before we dive into this, there's a little exercise that I need everybody to do. So if you're not driving, if you can pull out a blank piece of paper, and what I want you to do is to take no more than 5 minutes to draw a person in the rain. And that's all the information I'm going to give you right now. But if you could do that while we're having this conversation about stress, then at the end of the episode, we will come back around to that little exercise and we'll talk about it. Okay, so stress. Maine, Shelby, are you guys stressed?
Always.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So I realized this last week that my Thursdays, my schedule, it's a 15-hour day because I'm like spread so thin. I work at a school on Thursdays for 7 hours. I'm in traffic for 3 hours. I come here to HQ and I do an hour of finance, and then I have 4 hours of class. And then by the time I get home, I was doing the math. I'm like, wow, my Thursdays are 15-hour days now. And that's just, it's my busiest day for sure. And I know I'm not unique. I know that every single person listening has so many different responsibilities and so many things that you're juggling, right? A lot of you I know are parents, and that's a whole nother can of worms when, one of my kids is on a sports team right now. And the amount of time and the amount of volunteer hours and driving to these games and, doing all the things involved just in that one part of life can be so overwhelming. And then you add in your career, and then you add in taking care of your household and fun things like laundry and dishes and taking care of your pets, right? And then maybe if you throw in a little bit of ambition and you have projects that you're working on or other things that you have that you're striving for, it can be a lot. It can be a lot. And as somebody who's in the thick of it, I realized, when I figured out my Thursdays are 15-hour days, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm handling it really well as far as not having moments where I feel frazzled or I've definitely had these in the past, which is funny because when I look back, I'm like, I had so much less to do, but because I wasn't managing my stress and because I feel like I didn't have these different ways to cope and to manage stress, I physically felt the stress in my body and the overwhelm and, embarrassingly, the moments of just breaking down into tears because it's how am I going to get everything done? How am I going to do all this? So maybe you guys at home can relate to this in some way. Maine, you look very stoic. He's sitting there I don't understand any of this. This must be women problems.
No, man. No, I get it. Yeah, I feel like you said, it's everyone has their amount of stress that they contend with, and how you deal with it is, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is what I really wanted to talk about today is, because I am stretched really thin these days with working at a school 2 days a week, working at community mental health once a week, being full-time in graduate school, being a business owner, being a parent, being a wife, handling all these things, I sat down and I started really analyzing what are the actual techniques that I'm using to manage this stress. And if you haven't started your picture yet, drawing a picture of a person in the rain, start drawing your picture. And I did ask Maine and Shelby to draw one as well. And I'm excited to loop back to that. Okay, so my first mechanism for managing my stress, it's such a simple concept. And I realize it might not work for everybody, but for me, it's a to-do list. And that just sounds so basic, but I always carry around with me a notebook. And I think for me, stress comes on when I feel like my brain is scattered because I'm trying to remember all these different little things, right? Like I've got these assignments due for this class and I need to look up this for this client, and I've got, to get this ready for my kids', volleyball game, and just feeling like something's gonna slip through the cracks. That's how I experience stress. And so for me, making a to-do list, and I probably make my list twice a day because I'll put everything on one page, every single thing from my brain that needs to get done. And then I'll go to another page and I'll put it all in order. What has to be done first, second, third, and just even I'll note next to it like the day this has to be done by, or, when this assignment is due, or when I'm going to see this client next. And when I organize it all on the page, and I'm kind of like, I'm a little particular about exactly like how I write it out, and like it's probably a control thing, but as I'm putting this organization and this timeline and structure to all these scattered thoughts that have been rattling around in my brain, pressuring me, once it's all on the page, all beautiful and organized, I like instantly feel in control. Do you do to-do lists as well?
100% do that. And I instantly feel the same way.
Yeah.
I realized it wasn't as stressful as I was making it.
Yeah. It feels bigger. It's almost like a popcorn,
Yeah.
In your brain. And every little kernel that's popping is like something to do. And every little thing by itself is not that big a deal, but it's the chaos of it. And so just making that list and organizing it and then putting it in order of priority and when it needs to be done gives you this sense of like, okay, this is manageable. I can handle it. And then the next part of the to-do list that I love is when you get to cross something off the list. And I feel like I get like a shot of dopamine every time I cross something off the list. And even the way I do it, like if I'm like, really excited, I might like literally scribble it out and just have this satisfaction. Like I did it, it's done. But then once I have like a few lines crossed out, the disorganization of the scribbled out lines makes me turn the page and like reorganize it all. And so that's why like when I look through my notebook when I was thinking about sharing this and I'm going through the pages and I'm like, I never cross off more than like 3 or 4 things before I turn the page and rewrite it, which is kind of funny. But going back to that, like I need organization. I need it not to be chaotic. So that's a huge one. If you're scattered and you have so many things going on like I do, putting it all down on a page. And if I don't have my notebook with me, I use the app or the Notes app on my phone. And I actually figured this out recently that they have a little feature where it's like a checkbox feature where, it's like bullets, but instead of bullets, it's like little circles. And then when you click it, it like checks it off, which is very satisfying as well. And then when it starts getting messy, you just delete those lines. Yeah, so there's a strategy for helping to just manage everything. I would probably go crazy if I didn't have this technique of writing to-do lists. Okay, the next thing for me, as I'm just analyzing, like, why did I used to be so overwhelmed and stressed out when I had less responsibility and less to do, less pressure on me? And why now, with so much more, do I feel calm in my body? And do I feel like I can handle it, like I can do it, and I know I'm going to do everything well. I'm going to plan to have enough time, and I'm going to be organized. And this one kind of ties into stuff we've talked about before, but this is, for me, I've been off of caffeine since February, and I stopped drinking alcohol last year, and I don't take any medications or any supplements that impact my brain chemistry. And so I kind of look at this as like respecting your nervous system. And, for some people, maybe it's totally fine. And when you are drinking caffeine or doing whatever, taking whatever supplements that do impact your brain chemistry, maybe you don't feel it like anxiety in your body like I do. Last week, So those of you who know Bedros, he loves his supplements, like all the vitamins and all the things. Like he takes all of it, and he's like passionate about it. Like the guy just really loves to make sure he's getting all the nutrients and everything he needs. I don't take anything. Like I eat vegetables and fruits, and like I exercise, I drink water. I don't do a lot of things, which I know are, help me in that way. But I don't like taking in these things. But last week he got me because he shows me these supplements, and he's like, this comes from a chamomile plant. And I'm like, chamomile? I love chamomile tea. Like chamomile plant, it's like a flower. And he's like, yeah, the active ingredient in it, in this all natural herb, it helps you sleep deeper, and then it'll give you like really vivid dreams. And I dream vividly already, but I like really enjoy dreaming. Like that part of my life is like very enjoyable. So I was like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna try this. Like I'm gonna take this little, innocent little herbal, capsule, and see what happens. And so I took it. I took one pill. The first night, I did have like really vivid dreams, like a little bit more than normal. It was really enjoyable. I was like going to the movies. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try this again tomorrow. So I took it for the second day in a row, and again, had really deep dreams. But in the morning, I felt a little bit foggy, a little bit like, okay, this is really hard to get myself going this morning. But I didn't put two and two together until later in the day, as I found myself starting to have a little bit of anxiety and like a little bit of racing thoughts, which is not like me at all. And so I started analyzing, well, what did I do different? It's like, oh, 2 days in a row, I took that supplement. So I go and I look at the thing, and it has L-theanine in it, as well as this other like thing from the chamomile plant. So I start looking that up, and turns out it could impact your serotonin levels. And I'm like, I think my system is just so sensitive to anything that throws off the chemical balance that can impact my stress. And that was kind of an aha moment for me. Like, I know I like to protect my nervous system, but this is a great reminder of why, to be able to have such a busy life where I am going after so many goals and handling so many different things. Like, I have to take care of my nervous system if I'm going to be able to do it all well. Another substance that can really mess up the way that I feel is sugar. There's a lot of reasons to avoid processed refined sugar, but those occasions when I do indulge in it, again, foggy brain, more anxiety in my body. And so, this second way that I think I've mastered really keeping stress at bay is just respecting my nervous system. And I think for all of us, that could mean something different. Even part of that, respecting your nervous system, is giving your body enough sleep, right? Taking care of this engine and this body that, we're asking so much of every day. Okay, another thing for me, I do tend to max myself out with, enrolling in a full load of classes in graduate school, working several days a week. I like to do a lot, right? I love it. And I love the satisfaction of it. I love feeling like I'm moving towards goals. I love all of that. And so my I can be sometimes to not give myself breaks. And I find this now that I do have a commute 3 days a week. I find that I'll be listening. There's so many books that I've downloaded in my Audible, like so many books, and it's almost all related to the field of psychology that I'm going into. And it's like, I have just like this hunger for the knowledge, and I feel like I have to listen to all of it and understand all of it. And I'm the kind of person that, like, if I listen to it once and I'm like, I don't think I retained it all, I'll listen to it again. But I've found that as part of my stress management, is giving myself time when I just take the pressure off, right? And for me, this is typically towards the end of the day. So if this is a day where I am commuting on the drive home, just making a rule, like, I'm not going to listen to anything educational or anything where I have to retain information. I've downloaded some just like fun books and, giving myself this mental break And knowing all day that like the mental break is coming, and then being able to enjoy it because I feel like I've earned it. Like I put in my time, I back to my to-do list, I checked off those really big important things for today off that to-do list, and now I'm going to get a break. And another way that I do this is on the days that I cook dinner, I'll put on like the dumbest show like on my phone and have it playing that just, like The Housewives, which is an indulgence where it's like, it's mindless for me. I'm not having to invest any mental energy. I'm getting some entertainment out of it. I'm following storylines. I love, characters and all of that, relationships, following that. But it's like, it's a part of my brain that's like relaxing versus pressuring myself to like continue to take in information and get one step closer to your goal. It's like, no, building in these moments and these breaks where it's like, hey, I'm just going to enjoy right now. I'm just going to chill. That has really helped me. And then kind of along the same line, but this is more a bigger thing. So I love having things to look forward to. I don't know if you guys can relate to this. Like having an event on the calendar, and I feel like it needs to be at least like 30 days away, where it's like, there's this fun thing that's going to happen, And for me, like in those moments, in those days, my 15-hour Thursdays, when you're just in the grind, kind of just bringing it up in your mind. Like, one of them for us is my daughter's birthday's coming up, and we're going to have a whole day where we're just out and we're going to an amusement park and we're doing some fun things with friends and just knowing that that's like on the horizon, and then just getting into the habit of always having something that you're looking forward to. It's like these bigger rewards that I feel like just give us a little, like, when we get to go and do them, we're letting off some steam. And it just kind of reminds us we should be rewarded as we're putting in this time. The final thing that I thought of as far as like, why did I used to be so stressed out and felt like I was in this almost spiral of stress versus now? And the answer to that was misalignment of values. So if you do feel like you're perpetually stressed out or anxious, looking for the source of it. And for me, it was, the way that I was spending my time with work wasn't something that was really fulfilling for me. Wasn't the way that I wanted to be spending my time, and I wasn't working towards goals that had meaning for me. And so if all of these techniques are in place in your life and you've got your to-do list and you're respecting your nervous system and you're giving yourself breaks and you have these like big rewards on the horizon and you're like, I'm still stressed every day. At that point, it's really looking for misalignment and going to, examining what your values are. What are those, top 3 or 4 values that are important for you in your life, and then looking for misalignment, whether it be in how you're spending your time, what goals you're working towards, the people that you're surrounding yourself with. These are places where if there's misalignment, it doesn't matter how well you're managing your time and your tasks, you're gonna feel stress because it's related to this area where your life needs to be realigned. Okay, we've come to the part of the program where we're going to talk about our pictures. So if you are watching this and you haven't taken 5 minutes or less to draw on a blank piece of paper a person in the rain, then go ahead and pause. We will wait for you and draw your picture and come back. Okay, so what this is, friends, is this is a projective test. And so Maine is really excited to show his picture. And so Maine's going to show us his picture, and then I'm going to give a little interpretation and how this relates to stress.
Okay. Oh, what if we just hand you both of our pictures?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here's your picture.
Well, no
Give it
pressure to
up.
Shelby. If you don't want to share your picture, you don't have to share your picture.
She needs to share it because it significantly has more meaning than mine, I think. So he says.
Nobody's judging, but we really don't have to show it if you're not comfortable.
Don't show it on camera.
Okay, I'm not gonna show it on camera, but I'm gonna look at them. But wait, is this
Main
art?
hard stuff.
The art.
You'll know.
Wow, you really are an artist. That's amazing. This exercise. I haven't looked at it yet. No. This exercise really has nothing to do with artistic ability.
No, it doesn't. Oh.
Well, yeah, but your artistic ability is amazing, and I'm like, this is awesome. So this is what the exercise is about. You are the person. The rain is the stress in your life, and then what you chose to put around yourself as protective factors is showing us how you are handling the stress in your life. And so we can see here, Maine, there's like a decent amount of rain coming down. It looks like they're kind of like big drops.
Yeah.
Like this is a significant rainfall.
Okay.
Which if we're going by this, it's very subjective, but if we're just going by this, projective test interpretation, we would say, Maine, you have a decent amount of stress in your life, decent amount of things going on. But look what you did. Not only do you have this umbrella where you can see the rain is like like bouncing off of it, which is almost like you have this protection around you. You also look like you have like a nice jacket and maybe like some boots on. So the interpretation here is that Maine is really handling his stress very well.
So I was telling Shelby this off camera, but I don't know, for some reason when I started drawing it and I drew the umbrella shape first,
yeah,
I was like, what if my person just has like one of those see-through umbrellas? So that's why you could see their face, because it's one of those like clear umbrellas.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's practical.
That's really cool. And if we're going back to like the interpretation, the fact that you wanted to show your face is like a sign of confidence, which that is really cool. Okay, we're not gonna.
Shelby's is cool.
Honestly, I love it. Can we not show it? It's so good. Okay, we're not gonna show it to you guys. We're not gonna show it to you, but I am gonna do some interpretation. The person in the picture is very happy. Can we start with that? The person is very happy, and you can see it on their face. Like
extremely happy.
Extremely, like there's like this joy. And okay, I'll just demonstrate. And actually, the person is like this. Like the person is excited about the rain. And if you notice, none of the drops are getting on the person. It's almost like there's two clouds and the rain is like on either side. And Shelby's in the sun and Shelby's having a good time. But she sees that there are storms happening, but she's just not in it. Which is amazing.
That's what I meant. It's like significantly better.
It's very significant.
Yeah.
I feel like for both of you, though, I mean, just taking this interpretation and again, take it with like a boulder of salt, it looks like you're both handling your stress very well.
Sure. Yeah, not this current stress.
So friends, when you look at your picture, which hopefully you drew, just look at it. And whether this is accurate or not, it's kind of more of a fun way to kind of try to elicit some of your internal experience of stress that you may have put onto the page. So if there's a lot of rain, then that does indicate that there is a lot of stress and that you are dealing with a lot. And then look at, the expression of the person, if they're happy, if they're distressed, if their face is covered. And then what kind of protective factors did you put, if any, right? Is the person walking in the rain and they look sad and they don't have an umbrella? It might indicate just a feeling that, hey, the stress right now is too much and I don't really have any way to handle it. But if like Maine, you've got an amazing see-through umbrella and you got your galoshes on and you're trudging through that rain, but you're just like, I got this. The rain is bouncing off. Maybe that's very similar to how my picture was, way less cool because I'm not an artist, but mine was a huge umbrella and like so much rain. You couldn't see my face, which is kind of an indication that I was sort of like hiding myself. But I wasn't getting wet, which is kind of an indication that like, hey, I'm managing, but I am definitely in this. So anyways, that was just a fun exercise that I hope you enjoyed. And I hope that you came away with some ideas of managing your stress or maybe just pat yourself on the back because you're already managing your stress well and you know how to do this. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like, subscribe, and if you have somebody in your life who's super stressed out, really needs some tools to help them, share this episode with them and drop us a comment and let us know how your picture turned out. Thank you so much. I'll be back next week.
Thanks for watching Developing Potential with Diana Keuilian.